Look at the UVTV, motherfucker. I'm gonna kick spiritual ass and do my people on God. Neon nigga for Featherman. Yeah, today I'm gonna be talking about what is lust and actuality, and just talking about it from a more, you know what I'm saying? What is lust and actuality and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of people be looking at it like it's like a seven deadly sin, and when done to an extreme level, right? When it comes to lust and stuff like that, motherfuckers don't be want to be lusted after. They want to be loved in so and shape and form. But lust is just an offspring of what love is, and so we're like love is just, I mean, not love. Lust is just an offspring or like a seed that got birthed and grew as its own little plant from love for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then love has a whole bunch of different extensions because, you know, a lot of people be talking about, peace and love in the world, love and light and stuff like that. But the thing that would be higher than that would be the light way of looking at it. So like when people be like, oh, I'm trying to be all peace and love and light and stuff like that, it's that L word. So it's always going to be a logic or a Lucifer or like love or like lust or longitude or latitude or some shit like that. It's always that L word for the most part, and you getting lost into L is you getting lost into the light. You getting lost into a certain type of information. You getting lost into a light spectrum. So it's the same way how you look at the sun, and people be like, if you look at the sun too long, it's gonna blind you for the most part. So from it blinding you is you getting lost into that illusion. Is you getting lost into that light spectrum for the most part. It's like you getting lost into a thought form, or you getting lost into a certain feeling or an emotion like that, or an emotion or something like that. So based upon you getting so lost into that feeling, emotion, or that thought form, it turns into overthinking or overwhelming type of states of being, states of minds, and stuff like that, or mental health issues and stuff like that, because you don't know how to deal with certain thoughts and certain feelings and how to cope with it and how to like equalize it in so much shape or form. So I'm saying that to say, I'm trying to explain the overall reality when it comes to how to look at lust, because it's just another shade of love in so much shape and form. So before even breaking that down, okay, what's love? Love is requiring just, must, or like trust for the most part. So just will be like justice, and must as in like, okay, I ought to do this thing, or trust as in you having faith for that thing. So from you having a lot of trust for somebody, right? It's a requirement in love. A lot of people when they talk about love for the most part, oh, I want love, value, and appreciation, and I want a lot of trust. So I want to make it so, oh, we have a lot of faith in this relationship. Oh, I want to have a lot of honesty in this relationship. Oh, I want nothing but the truth in this relationship and stuff like that. I want the relationship to be built upon a whole bunch of different lies and stuff like that, even though it's gonna happen anyway. But you get what I'm saying? Like on a higher percentage scale, I want it to be the truth, and I want to be able to trust you, and I want us to both sign this esoteric contract of the terms and conditions of this prenup of what we want to do in this relationship. You know, talking from like a spiritual mentality way of how to look at it and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you're both subconsciously, you know what I'm saying? You're both mentally, psychically agreeing of the terms and conditions of what the relationship is, and you making that known from the jump. But a lot of people don't be doing that, and they be putting all they trust into the love or the passion for that person without actually getting to know the person. And you know what I'm saying? Overall, for the most part, you just going with the flow too much type shit, and that's another shape and form of like getting too lost into the love, or getting too lost into the light, or you know what I'm saying? Getting too lost into the lie, or at least at first you don't think it's a lie, but it's framed on a lie based upon how much you put in so much trust and faith in a person who's a stranger who you don't really know for the most part, because you didn't grow up with this person out of sandbox and shit like that. So you have to make sure that y'all both in the same space, aka the same type of mentality, so y'all both carrying out the same type of actions, and y'all both have the same type of passions and motivations and intentions on your mind to make that relationship go the distance for the most part. But just in general, right? Love is just a form of like just, so like justifying, and must, something that you ought to do, and trust, having a lot of faith and belief, and it extending into a big ass tree from the seeds being planted of the original starting point of why you got with that person in the first place and stuff like that. So that's why it's always important to understand the space someone is in based upon that relationship, and based upon you having a good relationship with yourself and you extending that to another person, you're gonna know the type of relationship that you want based upon you understanding your own individuality and your own creativity and your own productivity in your own space and your own passions and your own intentions, right? So, um, it's like when motherfuckers be like opposites attract and stuff like that, right? So you think based upon that opposing view from them having their own individuality and stuff like that, it's about the how for the most part. Like what y'all doing is trying to relate to each other, and then how y'all do it is what keep the relationship sturdy. It's what keep it on a foundation and stuff like that. It's how y'all steer the ship together and stuff like that. But that's a different video when we start talking about relationships and stuff like that. But really, a lot of that is you understanding the relationship when it comes to yourself, and you just end up attracting another person who like to value themselves, and it's gonna go based upon what you already into, and it's only two genders. So eventually, you're gonna find someone who you're attracted to who is the opposite sex, to where y'all can call on with that, or the same sex for the most part. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever the fuck y'all be into. So in general, right? Yeah, love is just the highest form of some type of high value or appreciation that you're willing to compromise with, and love has a lot of energy behind it, a lot of power behind it for the most part. But we can go from there and we start getting to lust and shit like that. So lust is the intense sexual desire, pleasure, and appetite. Now, when it comes to the lighter shape of form, how to look at it, right? When people think about lust, right? So it's intense sexual desire. So from it being intense sexual desire, right? It's something that was intended based upon the intention. So you're in something. The same way how y'all look at lust, like, oh, it's like one of the seven deadly sins where you do it to an extreme, right? It's a certain desire that you're putting yourself in. So if it's in something, it's encapsulated, it's in a container. So from it being in a container, is in a mind state, it's in a thought, is in an idea, thought, feeling, or emotion, right? It's in a psyche, it's in a mentality, right? Based upon the space that it was in, the natural essence in the substance, and then it condensed into a mind state, right? So that's what make it intense. It's intense. So if it's in that tense, right, that's attention span. You know what I'm saying? Intense is something that's tight and stuff like that. So it got condensed, it expanded, and it got contained into a certain container. And you know what I'm saying? Like of what it just got expanded out of for the most part, because you expand your mind and then you condense it to a new one. The same way how, you know what I'm saying? Like you can expand, do some long distance travel, and have a whole bunch of different experiences in the physical, or you can say condense in your local area location of what's familiar to you and stuff like that. And you can expand your mind and condense into a new one. You can expand the space that you in. You can expand how far you can take your individuality, or you can condense into your individual way of how to go about something. So look at that as the overall objective point of view, and then your subjective point of view. Your subjective point of view will be condensed, but the overall point of view of all possibilities and all of existence is the objective point of view, to make it more simple of how you look at expansion, contraction. And these things go on all levels of life and stuff like that, all the way down to when, you know what I'm saying, a baby be in a womb, and the pregnant woman in her belly be contracting, expanding and contracting and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? On all levels of life beyond just the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, right? It's always we doing an expansion, contraction type of energy for the most part. We're expanding out of a mind and we condense into a new one. We're expanding out of a thought, we condense into a new one. We're expanding out of a feeling or an emotion that's moving, and it's gonna condense into a new one. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get put into a container. It's gonna get put into a box, and then we try to expand out the box and do out of the box type of things, or abstract, or something that's different, something that's unique, different, original, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just trying to make a whole bunch of different analogies to make that shit make sense. So based upon it's a intense sexual desire from the lighter shape and form. It's gonna do it from a mental form first, a thought form first, right? Because a lot of these things be like metaphysics, mind physics, right? Based upon the spirituality behind it. So the space that you in, the creativity space that you in, the productivity before it gets condensed into the physical. So before you have that thought form, that thought, idea, feeling, emotion, right? It's the substance and the essence of all possibilities of the space that you're in, and then your individual space, your individual spirit is just your soul. So your subjective point of view of how you go about the objective world of everything that goes on in existence before it gets condensed into the mentality, and before it gets condensed into the physical shit perform. Your light body, your mind, and then your second body, the physical. So for the most part, right, it's an intense sexual desire. So from it being an intense sexual desire, right, when it comes to sex, right, I know motherfuckers will be thinking when it comes to physical sex and, oh, it's a lustful ass motherfucker. Oh, this motherfucker a hoe. This motherfucker a young hoe. This motherfucker, you know what I'm saying, a sexual deviant or some shit like that. This motherfucker an incubus. This motherfucker a succubus and stuff like that. That is lusting over a whole bunch of different bitches, a whole bunch of different groupies and stuff like that. This motherfucker be lusting or after a whole bunch of different men, all types of men and shit like that. To the point she ended up crashing out, ended up getting an STD, and that's the only reason she slowed down, or the nigga and stuff like that got bumps on his dick or some shit like that. I know motherfuckers gonna be looking at lust and they think something it deals with like sexual desires, like in the physical, like a motherfucker who be fucking a lot, but you be doing that in the mind first, because again, this is your first body and then it's your second body. So you had to have some type of horny thought or a horny idea or horny feeling, emotion before it gets acted out into the flesh, into the physical. You get what I'm saying? And the external tools of technology that make it easier to actually make that happen in the physical, right? So if it's a intense sexual desire, that desire is wishful thinking or longing for something, a craving, an appetite, a strong pleasure and appetite for something. So if you have a big ass appetite for a lot of lustful type of things, you're lusting after a lot of different thoughts. So lust goes beyond like the sexual way of how y'all apply it when it comes to fucking and stuff like that, right? Or like the physical way of how you look at it, because you just think, oh, this is a very lustful type of person. This person be fucking a lot and stuff like that, but you be doing that within the mind, right? You always go through a process of different thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, right? You having sex within the mind. So look at that as you have one energy and you taking a polar opposite energy to make a whole new energy and stuff like that. So look at that as you're gonna have a thought and idea about something, and eventually when you think about it, without putting your emotions and feeling into it, eventually you're going to create emotion and feeling out of the initial spark of whatever the fuck you was just thinking about, right? And then you're going to gain that passion, that motivation, that passion and motivation to actually be motivated to have that emotion be moving, because emotions are just you essentially moving, but it's you moving based upon the mentality that you in. So it's giving you a lot of adrenaline, blood rush and stuff like that to make you actually go forward with that action. You know what I'm saying? Actually bring that to fruition when it comes to manifesting, materializing. And manifesting is just manifesting men. So men and women, thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. Masculine and feminine. External, internal. Right? Light, darkness. Something being built in the image of how it look based upon what already got built, for the most part. If I want to make that like mad simple. So directing and redirecting for the most part. So the act and then the reaction, men and women, male, female, however the fuck you want to look at it. You know what I'm saying? It being given out and then it being received, like what I just said with the external and the internal and shit like that, right? So based upon it's a intense sexual desire, pleasure, and appetite. When it comes to lust, right? You lust after thoughts. You lust after ideas. You lust after passions. You lust after pleasures and stuff like that. So from you lusting over these things, look at lust as you having an intense sexual desire. So you're trying to take a space that you're already in and you're trying to put it in a different space to make a whole new energy out of it. So look at motherfuckers who have a certain dream based upon where they see themselves in their life when it comes to their goals and their passions and motivation and stuff like that. That's an intense sexual desire beyond just like the actual sexual act that be happening when it comes to motherfuckers fucking. You're fucking in the mind. You know what I'm saying? It's like a sapiosexual type thing. And then look, I got a Gemini Venus. I'm highly sapiosexual type of energy. You know what I'm saying? I get turned on just based upon your intelligence and your mentality of how you look at shit for the most part. But we be doing this within the mind all the time. So a motherfucker who always lustful and stuff like that, right? They always be quick to bust a nut. They always be quick to try to fuck somebody. They always be quick to try to have sex all the way down to physical and stuff like that. That means they lust after a lot of different things. They have a lot of desires. They have a lot of pleasures. They have a large lustful appetite. Look at that as a motherfucker. Oh, they have a lot of different creative ideas. They have a lot of productivity. They have a lot of thoughts. They have a lot of feelings. You know what I'm saying? And it's very large. It's very expansive and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They want to have a lot of big experiences and stuff like that. So a motherfucker who's a real lustful type person, they have a lot of desires to take one space and combine it into a different space, a different experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like based upon what they already experiencing and what they're observing and stuff like that, they want to put themselves in a different arena when it comes to that. So that's a motherfucker who want to go the distance, long distance travel when it comes to different experiences and stuff like that. So look at that as like a motherfucker. I'm gonna make this make sense. Like, look at that as like a motherfucker who likes to travel a lot, right? When you travel a lot, you're doing a lot of long distance travel. So you have to pack up a lot and you have to go fly on a plane or some shit like that. So it's like you're gonna take the geographical location that you in, and let's say you go into a whole different state like California or some shit, and then next month you end up going to goddamn Arkansas, and then next month you end up going to New York, and then next month you end up going to Florida, and then you go back to your hometown to go visit and stuff like that after being gone for like 3 to 4 months and shit like that, right? So that's doing a lot of long distance travel based upon a whole bunch of different cultures and backgrounds and geographical locations and people from different walks of life and people from you know what I'm saying, like it's like you're experiencing a lot of things in the physical and stuff like that, and you're interacting with a whole bunch of different cultures and backgrounds, a whole bunch of different people, and you're getting a lot of different experiences based upon what you're observing. So based upon your different experiences, you're going to have a lot of know-how and knowledge about different people and from different backgrounds, from different cultures, from different geographical locations and different temperatures and different, you know what I'm saying, like whether it be hot and cold, because it be hot as fucking California and shit like that, compared to being in Georgia and stuff like that, and it's bipolar ass weather that always be happening and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Or like you go to New York and it be winter, the temperament, and then the different culture and the accents and all that type shit, and the languages and the different types of food and restaurants and stuff like that, and agriculture and schooling system and laws and stuff like that. Like I'm trying to make this shit make sense, right? So for a motherfucker who likes to do that, that means you have a lust for life in general. So you have a lust for sentience. So you like bringing ideas to life just in general and stuff like that. Now it can translate into a person who likes a lot of sexual desires and stuff like that. So they long for a lot of intense sexual acts. So they like to fuck a lot, but they always be in that state of being of they like lusting after life, like that goddamn I'm thinking of the goddamn Lana Del Rey album. That's why I keep thinking of Lust for Life and stuff like that. But based upon their lifestyles and stuff like that, oh, they're lusting after a certain lifestyle. They're lusting after a lot of different experiences and stuff like that. So they want to do a lot of long distance travel. But a motherfucker who like to do a lot of long distance traveling and stuff like that and going to different states and different countries and shit like that, that means you're doing a lot of long distance travel mentally and stuff like that. Oh, you like having a lot of know-how. You know what I'm saying? You like having a lot of knowledge about something, and knowledge is knowledge. So you always going to be aware, and you always going to know shit, but you ain't going to know everything for the most part. But your spirit do be knowing already. It's just your spirit don't, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's kind of like you already know everything type shit. You already be knowing everything. But it's like your spirit, the space that you in, you do already know everything. That's how you even did that shape and form to being a human brain and a human mentality and human consciousness and stuff like that, and went to different vessels because you kept on expanding your mind to have a better awareness or a broader awareness and stuff like that. That's why you didn't come back as like an animal or like a bug and stuff like that, and you have more awareness than they do. Than they do. You have more subconscious conscious awareness than they do for the most part, right? So it's kind of like based upon that type of thinking, and you always on that trend of line of trying to expand the space that you're in so you can expand your mind, so you can expand how you're going to act on things and react to things based upon the physical and the external tools and technology that get created to make this human, earthly, physical experience better, right? From our own individuality and us coming together during the teamwork to make this objectively a better world to live in and stuff like that, based upon our own subjective point of view of how we like to live from our lifestyles and stuff like that, right? When it comes to lust and actuality, we be lusting for thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and we have a lot of intense attention spans, so we trying to expand our awareness and our attention span based upon the knowledge that we have, right? And our spirit be knowing everything, because and then I know motherfucker gonna be looking at that and they're gonna be like, but you don't know everything though and stuff like that, because that's like you learning a new talent or a new skill about something that you know nothing about. Okay, but you knew that you didn't know nothing about it. That means you did know about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's no ledge. You always gonna know. Now, you might not have a lot of wisdom or be wise about it or have a lot of know-how, but you are aware and know about certain shit for the most part. You know how much you didn't know about it, and you're gonna put a lot of work and attention to try to figure out that thing so you can have a better know-how and a broader way of looking at it, but you did know about it though. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to make it make sense. So just in general, right? Back to our original point. Now, lust is just an intense sexual desire, pleasure, and appetite. So you can lust after life. You can lust after thoughts. You can lust after certain desires. You can lust after certain pleasures that make you feel good. And it don't even got to be actual sex and stuff like that. You just doing things that you like to do. You doing things that resonate with, you know what I'm saying? You doing things that resonate with you for the most part. You doing things that make you feel good, that make you feel comfortable and stuff like that based upon your comfort zone. But then sometimes you have to do things outside your comfort zone to expand so you can have a bigger comfort zone and being comfortable with doing different things based upon the different experiences that you have, and so you can have a more broader way how to go about it so you don't stay stuck in a rut or frozen in time and lost into a pocket of a memory of what you done did and get lost into the nostalgia and having new experiences and stuff like that. So just in general, that's what you be lusting after. And lust is just an offspring of what love is, love and appreciation. So based upon that lust, you can grow to have a lot of love, value, appreciation after doing that thing for a long period of time. So it's something that, so based upon what you lusting after, that's something that you already like to do already. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just an offspring and another plant that got sprung off, another tree that got sprung off from the original root of that Garden of Eden type shit, which is basically just love. And love is just an extension of trust, faith, just mustness, value appreciation and shit like that, right? And a lot of passion behind something. So you have a lot of passion behind that thing, but based upon you lusting after certain things, so that's like wishful thinking, and you want to have sex with that thing. It's like having sex with different mentalities, sex with different thoughts, sex with different feelings, sex with different experiences and stuff like that. And sex is just taking one energy and utilizing another polar opposite energy to make a new energy out of it and stuff like that. So just expansion and contraction and experiences, and putting those things into a container until it starts to dry up and ends up serving its purpose, so you can make more purposes out of what you already done did, so you can have a better angle of how to attack it next time based upon the different knowledge and wisdom that you got, and you have a better meaning and reason into why you're doing it in the first place. And you can never forget that shit. You're supposed to never forget the starting point, why you start doing something in the first place. And then you're gonna have that genuality behind it, that authenticness behind it, that you know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna have an original starting point, and it's not gonna get gentrified by a whole bunch of different things you had to cope with based upon different justifications from you getting lost into a certain light, lost into a certain logic, lost into a certain lie, lost into a certain world and stuff like that. And you create your own world and your own atmosphere of what make you feel good based upon your own passions and motivations and what you value and appreciate. And from you having a lack of lust of these things, right? From you having a lack of lust, that's like a real pessimistic, nihilistic ass motherfucker. A person who has they have a lack of interest. They lack their own idea. They lack their own feelings. They lack emotions and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They probably think in a real stoicism type of way, where they try to run away from their own thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions and stuff like that, and then they end up bottling up everything inside because they never express what they actually like. They never have no creativity to show or showcase for themselves and stuff like that. They can never be center stage about some shit they really like. You know what I'm saying? And they don't know how to turn something that's a guilty pleasure that's not really a guilty pleasure. No, it's just something that you really like, and you don't want to get judged for saying what you really like because it might go against about what everyone else like and stuff like that. But you really like that shit. So based upon you really liking that shit, it's something that you really love, value, and appreciate. So the fact you keep on lusting after that desire, because it's like wishful thinking that you want to have a lot of faith and belief into because you actually want that, because you crave it, because you have a lot of appetite for it. That means you resonate with that thing a lot. It's just when you do it to an extreme, then it starts to turn to sin. So, you know what I'm saying? It starts turning into you try to be the god of that world. So whatever you lusting after, for the most part, you want motherfuckers to look at how strong you're able to lust after that thing, that you want motherfuckers to look at you like you God and worship you like a fucking deity, or look at you like a god, like some idol worship, and look at you as the face representation, and you the only motherfucker who know how to do that in the world and stuff like that. When motherfuckers have their own individuality, motherfuckers be in their own world, motherfuckers have their own goddamn life and shit like that. They don't give a fuck about your version of how you express that shit. It's just your version of it. But there's other versions because it's all possibilities. God is just all possibilities. All of existence come together. The objective point of view and the objective point of view gets created out of the subjective point of view of how we all fucking think based upon our own individuality and us having our own mind. Nigga, you want to be here and be sentient and have your own life if you wasn't doing this on some level to have the awareness that you have based upon you being a goddamn human and you have your own goddamn brain. Because no one else can, you know what I'm saying? You can't read motherfuckers' minds and stuff like that to a T. So the minute you start doing that to an extreme, then that shit starts turning to goddamn you doing some manipulative, snaky, treacherous tactics to motherfuckers being lost into what you lost in, and you just self-projecting what you lost in. And then that's it, that's all. But in actuality, that's all lust is for the most part. So it's an intense sexual desire, pleasure, and appetite. So from you lusting after a lot of things, you're lusting about a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different desires, a lot of different pleasures, and you have a huge appetite for these things based upon you lusting after it, because sex is just taking on one energy that's the opposite of another energy, so it can make a new energy out of it, so you can expand the experience, so you can go and condense and put it all that into a container, and you start seeing how freaked out you is, and not freaked out like sex, no, freaked out of what make you so excited and psyched out about this thing. You just can't get lost in being out of your goddamn mind from being goddamn psyched out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. So it's like look at it like another shape and form of what passion look like. It's just passion. It's a specific type of craving. It's a specific type of passion for the most part. But it's still a form of love. It's still a form of passion. It's just passion where you like to share that with others, but you also like to play with that mind state when it comes to your own thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotion and stuff like that. I'm coming up with a lot of different thesaurus ass synonyms and stuff like that to make this make sense, but you get what I'm saying. So that's all lust is in actuality. So the next time you start seeing a lustful motherfucker and you start picking their brain about why they so goddamn lustful and why they like the fucking stuff like that, you start telling them, why don't you apply that towards some type of creative productive skill and stuff like that, instead of you trying to fuck everybody in a goddamn block and you having 30 goddamn bodies. I'm not even trying to say there's something wrong with that, but I'm just saying in actuality that's really what that is. Like, you crave and have an appetite for a lot of different desires and passions and pleasures based upon what resonate with you and what make you feel good for the most part. You just can't get too lost into the framework of, oh, I'm only supposed to feel good, because life don't work like that. Life works in a vibration type of way. It's a frequency, a vibration, and an energy. The frequency is the line of events. The vibration is the different wavelengths and the ups and downs, and then the energy is it getting solidified of what matters to you, and it being something that gets condensed into the physical, and how much you're willing to endure to make that happen. You get what I'm saying? It's just manifesting and materializing. So for the most part, to make it, to understand it, like very simply, when you be looking at hypersexual type of people and stuff like that, they hyperly like to lust after life. They like making sentience and stuff like that. Always, all the way down to they probably have a lot of goddamn kids and stuff like that, right? And even if they don't have a lot of goddamn kids and stuff like that, they make a lot of kids by having a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings in them. You know what I'm saying? Like having a lot of adrenaline and a lot of passion, a lot of, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta look at like your imagination and whatever thought, idea, or passion that you're actualizing. You have to look at those things like they're like your kids, because you're trying to bring those thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions to life. So it's like it's like when motherfuckers be having a dream and they have a vision of where they see themselves, and they're actually trying to play out that vision, even if it didn't come in the physical yet, in the flesh, but they're trying to play it out like it is real in reality, and then somehow, some way, they make that shit work, and then they end up becoming a goddamn millionaire, or they end up accomplishing that goal based upon them trying to go the distance with that passion and motivation in that dream, and making that actually actuality and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like motherfuckers who have a lot of hypersexual type of energy and stuff like that. That means they just lust after life a lot. They like bringing things into existence. They like things being born, a thought being born, a feeling being born, an idea being born, an emotion being born and brought to life, and it can actually be played out all the way down to the mental shape and form of them feeling good from that, or the physical shape and form of it actually actualizing and stuff like that. So they just like doing that just in general. So the next time you start interacting with motherfuckers who actually are like that, you start asking them certain perspective questions when it comes to stuff like that, and you end up learning a lot of different things about You know what I'm saying? They're like hypersexual in nature, but you start to understand, oh, okay, this motherfucker like doing this within the mind first, because that's the space that they in. They're that type of spirit. They like to go the distance when it comes to things like that and experience a lot of different things, and because they have a lust for life. So from them having a lust for life, it's a lust for a lot of thoughts, ideas, feelings, emotions, and passions, and making their dreams come true when it comes to their imagination and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever that be coming to their mind and stuff like that, and that mental stimulation, they just have a lot of high mental stimulation and stuff like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? They like being excited. They like feeling good. They like going through a lot of different experiences and stuff like that. So anybody who's probably the opposite of that, they lack sentience. So they lack a meaning and reasoning to why they doing what they do in their life and stuff like that. They lack motivation. They lack passion. They lack desires. They lack pleasure and stuff like that. They probably come off very what's that word? Apathetic. They probably come off very apathetic or nihilistic. And what's the meaning and reasoning behind why they doing what they doing and stuff like that. So they probably don't even like themselves like that. Because anybody who start talking in that type of rhetoric, they don't even like themselves. That means you can't even find no thought, feeling, meaning and reasoning to why you're alive, or the reason why, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you doing what you're doing and stuff like that. Or you having a lack of dreams, and you having a lack of perspective, or you having a lack of experiences and stuff like that, and you having a lack of outlooks type shit, and you having a lack of showcasing your own subjective point of view, you lacking that star power and stuff like that, you lacking some type of you know what I'm saying, your own, trying to create your own atmosphere, your own worldview, your own perspective, your own way of how to go about things for the most part. I lack an individuality. You just like watching other. It's like you put yourself in a perspective, like you like watching others be individuals without you being involved with your individuality. So you like being lost into that darkness of not being seen and not learning how to look at it like a transition. So sometimes you're gonna be light worker, and sometimes you're gonna be in the dark worker. Sometimes you're gonna be seen, and sometimes you're gonna be the spectator. Sometimes you're gonna be the leader. Sometimes you're going to be a spectator and stuff like that. Sometimes you're going to be seen, and then sometimes you have to work behind closed doors in the shadows and stuff like that. But it's like you only want to be seen in that one shape and form of not being seen. But from you trying to not being seen, that's what you're known for. You're seen for being unseen, for doing unseen things. We never see your ass. You always be isolated and stuff like that. You always be, you know what I'm saying, away from everybody else and stuff like that. You always be not trying to live life for real and shit like that. So for the most part, that's all that shit is.